Hey, Doyle Lawson's calling, so I got to jump on the phone for an interview, but I'll call you back, okay? This is Darren.
Darren, Doyle Lawson.
Hey, big time, you out playing golf. Is that what it is?
I wish. No. I ain't about to play golf in weather like this, I'll tell you that.
Who can take a beggar in off the street, give him clean clothes and food to eat? God can. I know God can. Who can take a heart turned bitter and cold, make it brand new so it shines like gold? God can. I know God can. God can take away all your pain, make the sunshine chase the rain, yesterday, today, and forever the same. All you gotta do is just call his name. God can. I know God can. Who can reach down to the trembling hand of a child that's abused and they can't understand? God can. I know God can. God can take away all your pain, make the sunshine chase the rain, yesterday, today, and forever the same. All you gotta do is just call his name. I know my God can take away all your pain, make the sunshine chase the rain, yesterday, today, and forever the same. All you gotta do is just call his name.
I'm out running errands for my wife. We belong to the Hurricane Club here in Bristol, and every year they have a bean and soup supper, and they cook up a bunch of stuff, and people come and have a meal, and the net proceeds go to scholarship for the kids out in the county that maybe need a little help and things like that. So right now today I'm going nuts, going here and there buying supplies for soup, cookies, cakes, pies, you name it, she's doing it.
Well, if you don't do it while you're at home, you'll get blamed for it while you're gone. Okay?
Ain't that the truth? Then when you get back home, they don't ever quit. Once you get the blame, you keep the blame.
That's it.
Welcome to one of the most listened to music news podcasts in the world, SGNP, with your host, Darren Sutherland. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, artists, and entertainers about their faith, family, and careers. This is information you will not find anywhere else on radio, web, or in a magazine, but only firsthand on SGNP.
SGNP, Darren Sutherland here with you. Arthur is on a cruise ship, is on the Singing at Sea this week, and I know he's having a good time. But hey, today, our special guest, coming up in just a few minutes, is none other than Doyle Lawson of Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver. Talk about a heritage. Talk about a group. Talk about a group that crosses over into multiple genres of music, from Southern gospel to bluegrass to country. Doyle Lawson is the man, and we look forward to talking to Doyle in just a bit. Hey, by the way, if you haven't checked out our Facebook page, please do so. Southern Gospel News Podcast. That's right. It's real simple. Southern Gospel News Podcast is just like our name. Over 15,000 of our friends from all over the world are part of it, and we have a great, great time on Southern Gospel News Podcast. You'll find a little bit about music. You'll find a little bit about the show. You'll find a little bit about life. Hey, you may even find out some good stuff that you didn't know about this country. So we have a good time on Southern Gospel News Podcast. Instagram, great way to find out about us. Also, TikTok, we got a TikTok out there. What about that? And Twitter, sgnppodcast.com. If you want to listen to some of our previous 90 shows, you can always go back to our website. That's www.southerngospelnewspodcast.com, www.southerngospelnewspodcast.com. You can hear from the likes of Stephen Curtis Chapman, Peg McCamey, Phil and Kim Collinsworth, Russ Tapp, and so many great artists. Charlie Daniels, to name a few, Libby Perry Stuffle, and so many out there that we've talked to. Over 90 shows there in the hopper, and you could start listening to one today and build a 40-hour work week off all the shows before you got through. Again, Arthur's out on the boat this week with Singing at Sea. He's not with us, but we got a special guest coming right back after this break. Doyle Lawson with Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver right here on SGN. Hey, Darren Sutherland here for you, and want to tell you about one of our new sponsors to the show, BG Ad Group. That's right, BG Ad Group is one of our sponsors. You say, what in the world is BG Ad Group? BG Ad Group is a public relations, advertising, social media, digital media, traditional media firm that gets information out to folks all across the country. Just Google. I'll give you an example of what they've done for Southern Gospel News Podcast. Google Southern Gospel News Podcast. Look at the organic searches that come up. It's Southern Gospel News Podcast as far as the eye can see. Not just in the top 3 rankings, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They helped us get FeedSpot and helped us get Player FM rank us the #1 gospel music podcast in the world. They've created radio commercials for major car dealers, from Kia to Nissan to Mazda to Mitsubishi to Ford to GM, all across the country. They've helped us so many ways. If you want to know more about BG Ad Group, call them today. BG Ad Group. Look them up online. BG Ad Group, www.bgadgroup.com, or call them 770-874-3200. Ask for Jacob or Sydney, and they can help you.
Let me live, blessed Lord, in the light of thy word. Let my life be a light on a hill, leading souls now astray to the straight, narrow way. Help me do some good deed while I live. Let my life be a light shining out through the night. May I help struggling ones to the fold, spreading cheer everywhere to the sad and the lone. Let my life be a light to some soul. Give me wisdom and power every day, every hour. Let me drink from the fountain above. Guide my footsteps aright through the dark, stormy night. Give me peace, give me joy, give me love. Let my life be a light shining out through the night. May I help struggling ones to the fold, spreading cheer everywhere to the sad and the lone. Let my life be a light to some soul. Give me souls for my hire, let my life be on fire, shining out to the world as a guide. Help me rescue someone sinking now with no hope, that in heaven we shall ever abide. Let my life be a light shining out through the night. May I help struggling ones to the fold, spreading cheer everywhere to the sad and the lone. Let my life be a light to some soul.
And welcome back to Southern Gospel News Podcast. On the line with me from up around Bristol, Tennessee, through modern technology. And I call him personally, let me just say this, folks. You get kind of nervous when you really, really like someone's music that you're about to interview. Because when you listen to them on your Alexa all the time or your Google Home all the time, you fall in love with them in a different way just listening to their music. Now we get to talk personally to the man, one of my musical heroes, Doyle Lawson of Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver. Doyle, how are you, my friend?
Dan, I'm doing so good. I can't hardly stand it. I trust that you are as well.
You know what? I'm probably like you. I mean, we're recording this thing here in late January. It's cold here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's not supposed to get this cold down here. I mean, we may bust 30 degrees today, Doyle. You're up in the mountains of East Tennessee, I believe, or somewhere up in a little bit north of me. It's supposed to get cold up there, not down here.
Well, actually, if it's below 30 there where you are, I got you beat by a couple of degrees. It's actually 30 degrees exactly here in Bristol.
Man.
But it was about 17 this morning. Boy,
wow. Wow. Well, we'll let you keep that and hope it don't blow down this way. No, let's just jump right in. Why at 11 years old were you so fascinated with a mandolin? Why not a banjo? Why not a fiddle? I mean, a mandolin. I mean, what that wasn't. You know what I'm saying? That's just different. What?
I do.
What?
Well, very simple, Dad. It was the man that went on to become known as the father of bluegrass music, Bill Monroe.
Yeah.
I heard Bill about 5 years old on the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
And I was totally mesmerized because of his voice had such an authority to it, and he played the mandolin just like he sang. He played it with authority, power. My mother, she told me who it was. We had the Opry tuned in on Saturday night, and but I was just totally taken by it. And in those days, and this would have been in the late 40s, around 49 or 50, somewhere along in there. And the stars of that day were Ernest Tubb and Roy Acuff, Red Foley, Hank Stone, the list goes, Eddie Arnold, people like that. But there was something about the music that Bill played that just grabbed me and has never turned me loose. Mother told me who it was. Bill Monroe. He plays a mandolin and he can sing really high.
Yeah.
And I told her that day or that night, I said, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And I've never changed my mind. I knew from that day on that was what I wanted to do. And I'm so thankful that the good Lord, God above, allowed me to live my dream of doing what I've been doing professionally almost 57 years now.
Right.
And but I started learning to play the mandolin when I was 11. My dad sang in a Knoxville quartet here in East Tennessee.
Right.
They sang in churches. They did an occasional radio Sunday afternoon program for a preacher. And, of course, they had the share of the funerals that they were singing for and revivals and things like that. So my love for gospel music, well, first of all, I was saved when I was 8 years old.
Yes, sir.
And a revival when we were going to church, and people said, you were only 8 years old. How do you know that? You know how I know it? Because the Spirit of God told me I was.
That's right.
And I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. The Lord saved my soul that night. that I went to the altar and I confessed my sins, and knowing that I knew that I was a sinner.
Yep.
And I wanted to take care of that. So my faith like that is never wavered. I haven't always lived like I should. I know that, and I believe if everybody admitted, we all fail him miserably every day.
Every day.
As hard as we try. But I don't worry about that at all, because I know when that day when the book is open, I've only got to answer to one person.
Yes, sir.
And I've only got to answer for one person. I answer for me to God.
No doubt.
Jesus.
No doubt. Doyle, you talked about Bill Monroe there. When in life, when you get to meet your heroes, a lot of times you're awestruck. Tell me about that first encounter Doyle Lawson had with the great Bill Monroe.
Well, I remember it quite vividly. I'll get the proceed. I went to Nashville, and I took a job playing banjo for a guy named Jimmy Martin.
Yeah.
On the 3rd day of February in 1963. Well, while I lived in Nashville working for Jimmy, I never got to meet Bill because we toured, and back in those days, there was not any bluegrass festivals, and so we toured doing one-nighters and tours like that, so I never had a chance to meet him. So we fast forward to later, I wound up in Lexington, Kentucky, working with a bass player named J.D. Crowe. And J.D. Crowe in the New South. Then it was the Kentucky Mountain Boys.
Right.
And in those days, there was not a big market for. We all worked day jobs because we couldn't make enough money just playing music. So we worked a day jobs, and we played those bars and clubs and sometimes shows. But you didn't make $10 or $15 a night if you were lucky, and so you had to work a job as well. We were playing a little tavern in Lexington called Martin's Tavern.
Yeah.
And a guy named Roland White came in, and Roland was working for Bill, just had started playing guitar, and they needed a fiddle player. Our bass player, he's dead now, his name was Bobby Sloan. He played bass, and he also played fiddle. And he was left-handed, so he didn't switch strings up. He just turned it around and played it.
Wow!
I said you play backwards. And he didn't laugh.
That's talent.
It was, but anyway, Bobby and Roland had worked together in California, in L.A., with a group called the Kentucky Colonels. Roland knew Bobby lived in Lexington, and they needed a fiddle player to go to, I think, Buffalo and Niagara Falls, New York, up in that area somewhere.
Right.
Well, they came through there. Now, that little tavern that I told you about, it was called a shotgun room. It was a long room, but it wasn't very wide. And the kids from the University of Kentucky, the kids that come over, they had J.D. Crowe, his bands are playing, they loved him. And every night, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, they'd pack that place out from the time we opened up to the last note was hit. Well, they came on a Wednesday night, and Roland came in. Of course, Bobby recognized him, and so we took a break. And so Roland told him they were looking to pick up the fiddle player to make that tour with him. And so Bobby proceeded to tell him that he couldn't do it because he had a day job and we worked there regularly. And I said, well, where's Bill? He said, well, he's outside. He can't get in. I had never met Bill before. And I looked, and that tavern, that little club, Miss Martin, the older lady that she owned the club, she had put a curtain up halfway up the window, and I looked back in the back, and I could see this head outside jump up, looking in. As I went out, it was Bill. I introduced myself, and man, I was absolutely so nervous. I could hardly speak to him because there he was, my hero, and he couldn't get in to see us, So anyway,
wow.
And he said, I can't get in. I said, yeah, you can. You can follow me. So I got him in, and we got brought him up front. And he and his band got up and played and sang for about an hour. And I was absolutely in hog heaven, and that's how I met my hero, Bill Monroe.
Nice. When we get to do these shows like this and we do our homework and we ask folks about folks and this sort of thing, and you and I talked about before we started the show, the first time I ever saw you was up at the Georgia Mountain Center when the Hayne Tatum used to put the concerts on.
Hayne Tatum.
I remember very distinctly. I called my buddy Todd Nealon, okay, and I said, Todd, what do you know about Doyle Lawson? He said to me this, Doyle. He said, I don't know a lot about Doyle Lawson other than this. My daddy loved Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver as much as any group that there was. And if you walked into Rex Nealon's office on a regular basis, you would hear Doyle in the background. And Rex said, and I quote, this is from Todd now, Doyle, he may have the best musical ear in the world. He can hear a string break across the stage while his team's up there playing. Doyle, is that true? You can hear a string break across the stage when your team's up there playing?
I mean, the more that, again, all that I've been able to do, and I want to affirm that all I've been able to do is a gift from God, and He blessed me with a great ear. I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah.
And I while we're talking about Rex, I'm thankful that I got to meet Rex and got to know Rex, and I considered him a dear friend.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how I met Rex Nealon.
Yeah.
I was living up in Virginia, between Lynchburg and Appomattox, Virginia.
I know exactly where you are. My son went to Fork Union.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my phone rang one day and I answered it. Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver. This voice said, you don't know me, but I'm the biggest fan you got. He said, I'm Rex Nealon. I said, well, you're wrong about one thing. I know who you are. And that's how I met Rex. He said, I got a song I want to sing to you.
That's funny.
And I said, what's that? He said, let me sing it. And it was Ezekiel Saw the Wheel.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing that Rex did to me. I loved Rex. He was a good man, and I wish that I had gotten to know him earlier and longer, but God's plan was different from ours.
You're exactly right. Hey, you've said this yourself. You've said you are the farm team for professional bluegrass pickers. Okay.
Well, actually, I made an offhand, actually a kind of a tongue-in-cheek comment one time.
Yeah.
That because over the soon be 41 years, I've had my own group.
Right.
And I said, I think sometimes I'm the manager of the farm team for bluegrass.
Yeah.
And I was laughing about it. Well, it stuck.
Yeah.
Then people started, they grabbed a hold of that, and but I guess in truth, there's a lot of guys that have come through here. When I say a lot, probably in the 40 years, I would say maybe 40 people.
Yeah.
And which is not bad. But they come and they stay, and I can always tell the ones that really pay attention.
Right.
And I can tell it in the conversation because they want to know why I did this. What would you do? And ask questions,
Right.
And I know it's and look here. The one thing that you can always be sure of, if you put a band together, a group, the one thing you know is going to be, there's going to be change.
Yep.
You're not the personnel you start with, they ain't going to be the ones you wrap it up with. That's just not going to happen. And so people get this misconception that when somebody comes and they leave, they automatically assume that you're bitter enemies and everybody's mad at each other. That's not the way it is.
Yeah.
It just, obviously, I'm human, and I bet you 99 out of 100 people would say that they hate change. They wish things would always be the same.
Yeah.
But we know they won't be the same. It can't. But when they come and they give me 100%, and they make an impact here, and they've had input to what my success was while they were here, and they leave. And what makes me happiest is to see them go on and succeed.
No doubt.
Makes me feel good.
Yes, sir.
Makes me feel good.
Yes, sir.
And I have a policy that, and I had a long time, that whenever anything ends as far as a working relationship or anything like that, I want it to end like it began, and that's as friends.
Yes, sir. Great policy.
But the manager of the farm team, I said it in a joking way, and then people started referring to me as the School of Bluegrass. Well, it is true that I'm kind of a taskmaster. I would like things done the way I want them done.
Right.
But I also share my knowledge with people.
Right.
Whether it be in an instrument that they need a little help on. Fortunately, I played 4 or 5 different instruments, and pretty good. I mean, it's worked for me all these years, so I can show them what I'm talking about. I said, when I take, say, the banjo, and I say, hey, I don't tell him, here's what I want you to do. I say, look, listen to this and watch it. Can you give me something like that?
Yeah.
Similar to that. Because, God made everybody a little bit different, so we're not going to do things exactly like the other guy did.
Yeah.
You just don't. So don't put the guy. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Let me let you finish. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I'm sorry, Doyle.
It's okay. Well, you just don't want to put the guy in undue pressure. And it's like when I replace a vocalist, one of the first things I tell him is, here, you got to understand that I'm not looking for you to be what the other guy was when he was here. What I want you to do is adapt to the style that I play, knowing that there'll be a minute change.
Right.
But still, you take the pressure off of him and trying to think he's got to be the guy that was here before.
Right.
That's undue pressure. You shouldn't do that to people.
Byron Dobbs, radio guy, WLJA in Ellijay, Georgia. When I said to Byron, I said, Byron, we got Doyle coming on. What would you say about Doyle? He described you like this: consistent in all things in life, except group members. But the great thing about him is he finds a best way to get the best out of them, even in change. How have you said it just a second ago, people don't like change, okay? Let's face it. The age folks that listen to bluegrass music predominantly are probably 40 and above. That group of people don't like change. I'm 50 years old. The only thing I've ever liked change is the remote control for the TV, because I was the remote control for the first, 10 years of my life. You know what I'm saying? What do you think? Where do you think that consistency in life for Doyle Lawson comes from?
Well, we'll talk about the musical part first.
Yeah.
The consistency lies in the fact that I don't change for them; they change for me.
Yeah.
Just as I did when I stepped on foot in Nashville, Tennessee, all those many years ago, and took the job playing banjo. My role was to adapt and play the style of music that Jimmy Martin and the Sunny Mountain Boys was playing.
Yeah.
It wasn't up to Jimmy and those guys to change for me. I go to the Country Gentlemen in Washington, D.C. in 1971. My job was to adapt to what they were doing, to play the style and sing the style of music they did. Yeah. They weren't supposed to change for me. So then all these years later, that's just changed. Except I have a brand, I have a style of music that is distinctive,
right.
It's identifiable, and I would be a foolish man to change all that when they say, "Well, I don't know who that is." It kind of sounds like let them know first off.
Yeah.
When that CD starts playing, they know that's Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver. The way you do that is you get the guys to come to you.
Yeah.
You don't go to them.
You've been on the road for 50 years or so, I think you said, okay? What's the funniest thing that's ever happened on the bus over these 1,000,000 miles that you've ever rode?
Oh, Lord. The funniest thing, I couldn't begin to tell you, really.
Usually when I ask this question, Doyle, the artist or the person says, "I can't say that."
Well, I'll tell you one.
All righty.
I was with the Country Gentlemen, and we had played Boston, Massachusetts. They had to go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And it was in the wintertime. It was. If you think it's cold in Georgia, you should have been up there.
That's okay.
It was. We had an old 1948 Greyhound bus. Didn't have any heat in it in the wintertime. Didn't have any air in it in the summertime.
That's funny.
But those days, you were paying the price then. When things got better, it made you appreciate them more. But anyway, it was in the dead of the night, out there 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden, I woke up. We each, there was 4 of us that traveled, and we each had little separate staterooms. And so I hear all this, the bus was shaking and moving and carrying on, and I'm trying to get awake, and so I heard Bill Emerson was working with us as the banjo player then, and our manager was with us. And his name was Lynn Holtzclaw. He said, "Hey, Lynn, what's going on?" And I heard here's what Lynn said. "Oh, don't worry about it, Bill. The bus is on fire." We all come tumbling out there. What had happened? That old bus, the engine compartment had got hot.
Yeah.
And some of the grease had melted. It fell down somewhere or other, and caught fire. But anyway,
funny.
It was. But Bill Yates was the other guy. He was driving, and he had it put out in just a minute or so. But what tickled me was our manager said, "Oh, don't worry about it, Emerson. The bus is on fire." Anyway.
Well, you got out. You made it out alive. That's all that mattered.
Made it out alive.
Hey,
Yep.
buddy, you talked earlier about in the show about your parents singing gospel music as you were growing up. What song?
Yes.
What song can you vividly remember hearing your mom and dad sing? What right now? I mean, what comes to mind?
One called "Dear Lord, I'll Not Be Able."
Yeah. Great.
My mother was singing. At first it was my mother and my dad and one of my dad's nephews, my first cousin.
Yeah.
They sang as a trio. And then my mother dropped back after a while, and she dropped out. And I had a sister 4 years older than me, and she stepped in, sang with them until she got married. But anyway, my mother loved that song, "Dear Lord, I'll not be able." And man, she'd sing that, and the tears would run down her face, and that church would shout the house down because she sang from the heart. And if it was rough in all the right places, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's beautiful.
That was the song that I remember her singing. I believe that was her favorite song that she sang with Dad while they were singing together.
Nice. Beautiful story. Buddy, I know we got to get out of here, and you got to get back to getting to your duties for your wife, and I appreciate you spending some time with me. One last question. You've had Grammy nominations. You've been inducted into the Bluegrass Hall of Fame in 2012. Matter of fact, last night I stayed right next door in that Hampton Inn to the Bluegrass Hall of Fame there in Owensboro, Kentucky. I was in the hotel right I was right there. It was cold up there. You've had all this. You just recently done an album, if we call them album, project, whatever you want to call it, over in Prague, Czechoslovakia. What's the one thing you've saying, you've talked about being in Boston, you've been to Florida, you've probably been to California, you've been all over the world singing bluegrass gospel music and gospel music. What's the one silver lining you see from the fans, the one constant thing that you see from your fans no matter where they're at?
I truly believe that the gospel music with a message is a universal message music.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. There may be somewhat of a language barrier there, but there's something about gospel music, and it's the spirit, and it's the heartfelt spirit, and that transcends from you to the people, and they recognize the difference. And I've had more than a few people tell me that they love I've never made it. I've never made any pretense of being other than what I am. I'm a musician, and this is the way I earn my living. I love to sing gospel. And I sing bluegrass, but I'm very careful about what kind of songs I select in the secular. I don't want it to be something that would lead a little child, giving them the wrong impression, or anybody else for that matter. And I don't want it to be too suggestive and things like that. There's a lot of things you can say that you don't have to use profanity and filth in a song.
Yeah.
And but the gospel music. There's a difference here, and I don't care. I've been 49 foreign countries in all 50 states, and I can tell you that, and I've never been anywhere that I didn't sing gospel. Even in North Africa and the Near East and Middle East, I was over there and some time back, but still. But the Czech Republic, we did the live album a year ago there. And it's up. I'm honored and proud to say that it's up for a Grammy this year. Whether or not it wins, I don't know. But yet, a live album in a foreign country. And but the fact is that one of the songs I did was one I recorded several years ago, called "I'm Going to Heaven," and the people, it was a cappella. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. Well. Here's the deal. The song starts out, I've started to a land where there's everlasting joy. Okay, the Czech Republic was under the communist rule that was for so many years behind the curtain. They weren't allowed to experience anything that we have the privilege to do.
Right.
They would hear about it, they knew about it, but yet they could not experience it until about 1998 when they were liberated. Now they are so hungry to hear all this stuff, And people say, well, the Czech Republic, they're not really a religious country. I said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway. It might help. Maybe the only church they ever hear. So that's my answer.
Wow. Bill, you're going to be this weekend, you're going to be down at Milltown Music Hall, right down the street from me in Bremen, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
Doyle,
yep.
What should folks expect down there this weekend, or anytime they're anywhere around the country? Because we can't just say Milltown. I know you're going to be at Milltown down the street, but heck, we get picked up in every state and 72 countries on this podcast. I always forget that from our radio days. We're not just isolated anymore. Big crowds in Ireland love our podcast. In England, Scandinavia love our podcast. And I know they love Doyle Lawson, and they're going to love this. But when somebody comes and sees Doyle, what do they expect? And then I'll let you out of here.
They're going to see a band on stage led by this guy with a hat and a white beard. But they're going to see that band give them every ounce of energy that they got in trying to provide them some entertainment, some gospel music. Hopefully pick them up if they've had a bad week, lift their spirits. And if they leave there with a big smile on their face and some joy in their hearts, our trip's been worthwhile.
Doyle, I don't say this to everybody I get an opportunity to interview, and I've got a chance to interview a lot of folks. But can I tell you, my friend, I've really enjoyed this today and loved hearing your story. And I could literally sit here another 2 hours and ask you questions, but I know you got a life to live. So I'm just going to get you to come back one time, and we'll talk again. Is that okay?
I'd love to do it, brother. I'd love to do it.
All righty. He's Doyle Lawson in Quicksilver. You can check him out online, I'm sure, on his website. You can find him on Facebook and all his social media. Doyle, thanks again, my friend. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Take care, my brother. It's been a joy.
All right. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Here the labor is so hard, and the workers are so tired, and the weary hearts are yearning for a rest. And we find we're getting anxious to be in that happy land where we'll receive such peace and happiness. But wait a little longer, please, Jesus. There's so many still wandering out in sin. Just a little longer, please, Jesus. A few more days to get our loved ones in. We may look into the skies and tears will fill our eyes, for our burdened hearts grow heavier with each day. First we cry, oh Lord, please come and take your children home. But then we look around us and we say, wait a little longer, please, Jesus. There's so many still wandering out in sin. Just a little longer, please, Jesus. A few more days to get our loved ones in. The family scattered here and there, but Lord, we love them dear, and maybe we can help them find the way. Then if waiting is the cost, they might not be lost. Lord, that's the only reason why we say, wait a little longer, please, Jesus. There's so many still wandering out in sin. Just a little longer, please, Jesus. A few more days to get our loved ones in. Wait a little longer, please, Jesus. A few more days to get our loved ones in.
Man alive. I just interrupted my producer over there, Tiffany, and I said, are we on? You know, there's sometimes when you do these interviews that you're just awestruck by who you get to talk to. And the fact that we just picked up the phone and talked to one of probably the greatest bluegrass musicians of all time, Doyle Lawson, who says gospel was his influence into the bluegrass world. I mean, you heard him talk about his mom. I mean, he's been traveling 50 years. A lot of great things. A lot of great things. You've heard his music during this show. You've heard him during this show. And stick around. Coming up next week and a couple other weeks, we got some great guests. Remember, you can check us out online at www.southerngospelnewspodcast.com. You can check us out on Facebook at Southern Gospel News Podcast. You know what, guys? We love doing this. We appreciate you listening. I'll ask this question, what we always ask Arthur at the end of every week. Arthur, what's wrong with living right anyway? He says, not one thing. You've been listening to Southern Gospel News Podcast. Have a great week.
SGNP is brought to you by Toccoa Falls College in Toccoa Falls, Georgia. For more information on TFC, call 706-886-7299 or visit them online at tfc.edu. That's tfc.edu. Since 1907, TFC, glorifying God through seeking and developing leaders who will impact the world for Jesus Christ.
I shall not bear the cross through yon city when the burdens of life are laid down. When I knock on the portals of heaven, I will trade the old cross for a crown. Though the cross oftentimes has been heavy, and all fortune on me begins to frown. But how happy I'll be over yonder when I trade the old cross for a for a crown. When the burdens of life I lay down, when those pearly gates for me shall swing open, I will trade the old cross for a crown. Oh, and I will trade the old cross for a crown. Down here my burden's heavy, and the road is rough and long. Sometimes my feet get weary and so sore, but a brighter day is coming. Soon I'll step on heaven's shore, and I won't have to worry anymore. I won't have to worry when I reach the other shore. All my troubles will be over, and I'll rest forevermore. My eyes will be on Jesus, and my heart will be aglow, and I won't have to worry anymore. Someday when life is over and I've said my last goodbye, I'm gonna see my Savior standing at the door. Then I'll hear him say, "You're welcome. All your cares are left behind, and I won't have to worry anymore. No, I won't have to worry when I reach the other shore. All my troubles will be over, and I'll rest forevermore. My eyes will be on Jesus, and my heart will be aglow, and I won't have to worry anymore. My eyes will be on Jesus, and my heart will be aglow, and I won't have to worry
SGNP is excited you chose to listen today. If you'd kindly leave a remark and rating in the podcast remarks section, we surely would appreciate it. Please share with a friend or family member. Look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and our new website, southerngospelnewspodcast.com. To advertise your products, services, concert event, or new project on SGNP and reach a 100% guaranteed number of people in your area, call Tim Newton at 770-874-3200 or email him today, tnewton@bgadgroup.com. Let us geo-target our ads for you, something radio nor magazine can do.
Hey, this is Darren Sutherland. Before I close, I want to thank our affiliates out there. WLJA in North Georgia, KWFC in Springdale, Arkansas. The new one, The Andrew Burnett Show, heard all across the country, and online, TheLightAtlanta.com, playing Southern gospel music online. We're adding affiliates every day. We're partnering with Ken and the folks over there at Gospel Music TV real soon. So we look forward to that partnership. If your gospel music entity would love to partner with SGMP, get a hold of us. It's real simple. Folks, here's the deal. We've reached out to literally every form of media in gospel music. If we've missed you, I'm sorry. But we've had great partnerships with folks like Paul Heil and others. If you haven't heard someone on the air, it's not because we hadn't reached out. We hope everyone is successful, no matter if they're a radio station, a magazine, a website, a group, whomever it is. God bless you, and let's make gospel music better than it was today, tomorrow. Easy enough?